Hey everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. It is Sunday morning, and I believe it is September 28th, 2025. I'm on my way to the flea market to do some vending. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous fall morning here in Northeast Ohio. Last few days, it's just been beautiful after all that rain we had last week, but we really, really needed it last week because we had an extensive drought. Yeah, I found out droughts are more bearable when you don't have extreme temperatures. You know, we had nice temperatures with the drought. Anyways, you know, I always talk about intuition. I feel it's very, very important to begin to learn your intuition, how to know when it's your intuition, you know, what to do with it. Because throughout my life, I have found my intuition is more reliable than what other people tell me, or even maybe what I think I'm seeing here, or even the things I tell myself. You know, it's just so important. So, you know, I was listening to a podcast this morning while I was getting ready, and they were talking about, freedom of speech and censorship. And they mentioned that, censorship on social media started as soon as Joe Biden got into office. Now, I would like to remind you, I have never been a Joe Biden fan. I first became aware of him from seeing him on TV a lot. Oh, way, way, way back in the day. I was a young adult. What was it? Late 80s, early 90s is when I first became aware of him. And I will tell you, I never liked him. Never. Okay, so don't base what I am saying on how I feel about Joe Biden. I'm trying to be practical. Okay? So, they said it started when he became president. So, I'm thinking, no, it started before that. And it did. Now, I think it became more obvious, maybe. And maybe, more often, more frequent. I don't know. But here's how I know. Now, first of all, my intuition started ringing alarm bells. And so when that happens, I kind of sit down and think about it. Think about the past, whatever, How has this affected my life is I guess, how I'm thinking about it. So anyways, I remember, now this was before I was living on the road. So I was still living here in Ohio, in this area that I currently live in. I got on the road in the spring of 2019. So this must have happened to me, I don't know, 2017, 2018, something like that. So I was, never really on Facebook all that much. So I decided, to sign up, get on Facebook. And the first thing I did was join a group or a page or whatever the hell it is. But we, would have discussions. And it was a very interesting group. But in no time, it started going downhill. And the guy who runs it told us everything I put up, Facebook keeps taking down, saying it's misinformation or this or whatever, and it was a spiritual group, okay? It was about spirituality. And he says, there's certain things I'm not allowed to say, and I don't understand why. Now, here was my comment. So I made this comment. It was about 10 or 11 at night. I said, well, freedom of speech is a thing of the past. I woke up at about 6 o'clock the next morning, turned on my computer and went on Facebook to find I had been kicked off Facebook, and they told me permanently. I was like, why? They would not tell me why. Well, I remember the night before, and the very last thing I said on Facebook was, freedom of speech is a thing of the past. This was 2017, 2018, so it was before Biden got into office. Okay. Now, it's very true. My intuition this morning set off its alarm bells and told me to think about that statement. And I did. Yeah, it was like, it's still, my intuition is telling me, was it truly Joe Biden and Joe Biden alone? Okay, no, it's not. And we all know that. But, like, here's the thing. When my intuition starts telling me something, I'm not talking about just about current events or politics, whatever. It could be my personal life, anything. Sometimes I will tell other people the information I received intuitively, but most of the time I don't. I just, okay, I got that information, and I'm aware of it, and I think about it, but I just leave it be. I remember it, but I don't do anything with it. You know, unless it's an immediate thing. Usually it's not. Well, sometimes it is. I had an incident yesterday. It's like, I just wait and see what happens. And more often than not, I find out my intuition was correct. I mean, so I could be reading something in a book, having somebody tell me something face to face, and my intuition is telling me, no, don't listen to them, they are wrong. And you know, people, they like to talk like they are knowledgeable and an expert at something, but they really don't know. And it's not like an accusation. We all do it. Okay? To convince the other person to believe as we do, we state it in a manner where we sound like we know what we're talking about, to give the other person, you know, doubt. Yeah, so I will just sit with my intuition and wait to see what happens. I don't have this need for my intuition or any other psychic ability. And before I go on, I want to remind everyone, we all have psychic abilities. Some of us are more open than others to hearing our psychic abilities, whatever that may be. I believe it is psychic abilities are like an ancient sense, like sight or smell. I believe that's the same thing, and we were, talked out of using it. Okay, we were told it's not true or it was evil, which that does not make any sense at all if you really think about it. Okay, so everybody has them. When I say using my psychic abilities, I'm not saying I have any special talent or anything. I have all my life been more open to it, not intentionally. It's more of a natural thing for me. But everybody has them, so I'm no different than I'm not any more special than anybody. Anyways, I don't feel the need for people to know that I intuitively received this information and it was correct. I will just sit and wait to see if it is correct, and if and when I get verification, like, okay, my intuition, I heard my intuition correctly. And that's, I use it like that all the time. Very practically, I guess. So, despite the fact I have not liked Joe Biden since I was in my late 20s, I still don't like him now. I was intuitively aware, and just by watching, if you settle down, calm your thoughts, calm your mind, and you watch what's going on in this world, you have to read between the lines. It's never what they are telling us it is, okay? And even if your guy wins the office position as president or whatever, never ever let your guard down, ever, okay? Because even when your guy wins, pay attention. Always pay attention, okay? It doesn't matter, okay? I admit, I voted for Trump. I don't think I keep that a secret. I am a libertarian. But if I voted, God, now he's slipping my mind who the libertarian candidate was. It's like things were too messed up, and still are, for me to take the chance of voting how I truly want. But for me, Trump was a stepping stone to smaller government, because the day he said, first time I ever heard him talk about draining that swamp, I was like, I may not be a Republican, but I want that more than anything else. And with politicians, you never know if they're really going to do it or not, because, well, sometimes they're just outright liars, but they also have the deep state controlling them, so they can't, most of the time, do what they promised us. But if anybody's going to buck the system, I knew it would be Trump. Okay? So that's why I went with him. It's a stepping stone for me, because I would love for the government to be so minuscule, it's barely noticeable. Okay? But anyways, back to intuition. So, all right, Trump won. I was very happy about that. I have seen him moving in warp speed to do the things that I had voted him in for. Yes, and I don't care if any of you hate me because of it. It's the way I feel. Anyways, but do I let my guard down? I don't believe in putting all my eggs in one basket, first of all. Always got to keep watching. And I have a list of things that he has done or has not done that I'm concerned about. Okay? I never trust anyone 100%. I just can't. It's like not in my nature, first of all. But for me, I had to look at it more as a stepping stone. So, intuition is very, very important, whether it has to do with world events or your personal life. Okay, yesterday, I was coming home from the flea market, and when I come around this one bend, the road slopes fairly suddenly because you're getting near the river, and your car just accelerates by itself. And so my car started doing that. I thought to myself, I am going way too fast, because as you can see, a lot here where it gets curvy, it's 25. I'm going way. I didn't even look down to see, but I just knew I was going fast, so I slowed down as I'm coming down the hill. And then I get to the bottom of the hill, and there's like this, a pasture, not a pasture, I forgot what you call that right now. And just as I'm at the very bottom of it, I see the top of a police car sticking out from the brush. You could not see this police car coming down the hill, believe it or not. I don't know why. So, I thought, oh God, this police officer is going to pull me over. And sure enough, as soon as I passed it up, the lights went on. Well, I feel very strongly that the fact that I thought I'm going too fast, it like popped into my head all of a sudden. Well, to me, that was my intuition. You're probably not going to get out of this, but because you're going to get stopped. You can't see the police officer, but there's a police car there. So I slowed down. By the time I got to the bottom of the hill, I was down to 25. But the police officer still pulled me over. Anyway, she was a delightful young woman. And, she came up to me and she goes, I had no idea what speed I was going. I'm so embarrassed. And she says, I pulled you over because you were doing, it's 25 here, you were doing 41. I'm like, oh my God. And I said, you know, when I come down that hill, because that hill is nowhere near as curvy as this one, so it's a little easier for your car to accelerate by itself. So anyways, I said, I always have trouble on that hill. I said, but I didn't, you know, this time I didn't even realize I was going that fast. I apologize. She goes, I know, it's a bad place. This hill, they have 25. I said, yeah, but down by the river here, it's also a bad place to be speeding. You know, because it's just dangerous. That's why it's at 25. So anyways, she was really, really a nice woman. And, you know, she took my license and my insurance information. She goes back to her car. She comes back. She looks at me because I'm old enough. I'm at least old enough to be her mother. She was so young, and she looks at me like amazed, like she was in awe of me. She must have looked at. Okay, she was born in 1964. That was a long time ago. And she goes, I just looked up your record. I said, yeah. And she goes, you have never, ever had a ticket. I said, that's correct. And she goes, well, I'm certainly not going to give you one now. I started cracking up. I said, thank you. I appreciate that. She goes, you just be careful coming down this hill from now on. I said, I will. And now I know I will because, you know, when you get pulled over, then you're more cognizant of it. I'm telling you, coming down these hills all of a sudden is like your car just wants to, yeah, it gets mind of its own. Anyways, that was intuition. Because I know most days I probably am speeding going down that hill just like everybody else. But I became instantaneously aware going too fast. And it's, oh my God. And so I slowed down. I know that was my intuition. Okay, I was thinking of, my mind was in another place. I was tired, just wanted to get home. That's all I was thinking about. So it just hit me out of the clear blue like that. When something hits me out of the clear blue like that, I know it's pretty much my intuition. So it was my intuition saying, okay. So yeah, I'm going to show you this if I'm still recording. But anyways, yeah, always pay attention to your intuition. It will protect you, give you warnings. Just like, all right, yesterday, when it comes to, you know, this circus that we are being forced to live within, you want to use it then too. All right. I have had so many instances, especially with, when I say, well, with family members, where I use my intuition and my reasoning skills together. Okay, that's always the best way to do it. So I'm watching and I'm hearing, you know, intuitively. I can't say I'm always right. Nobody's always correct. No one is. But I think it's in our best interest to reason like that. And that's called critical thinking. You're using your reasoning in addition to your intuition. So, you know, I've had my family, okay. They are so sure they're right about something. And I'm talking about my meaty things that, you know, yeah, I don't know if you could tell how steep that hill is up ahead. This is where I got pulled over. I came down here, my car just started going off by itself. Anyways, so use that because you're going to have times. And, you know, I feel like with certain number, like, of my family, they'll go with the majority, the crowd, instead of thinking it through by themselves. This is why I can't say I'm Republican, I can't say I'm Democrat, because at a young age I got in the habit of using my intuition plus my reasoning. Because I always have to. I think with any psychic ability, I receive the information, and then I need verification. Okay, I do. I need to have verification from the physical realm also. Meaning, this world. So I think it's in our best interest to learn to listen to our intuition politically. I mean, right now, politically. So, yeah. So this guy said that, and my intuition went ding, 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 ding. Like, pay attention here. And I'm like, I started thinking back. Like, no, it started a lot longer before than that. It did not start with Joe Biden. Joe Biden was just a pawn. As much as I dislike that man, and always have since I was a young woman, what they did to him while he was in the White House, I feel bad for him. And I feel there are a lot of people who should be very, very ashamed of themselves for what they did to him. But every once in a while, and this is how dementia works, because my mother and my grandfather had it, the real person pops out for just a few minutes. Now, I noticed if this happened with Joe Biden, his real self popped out for a minute, I would always end up laughing, because he would say something with this grin on his face. Ooh, and I was like, ooh, he's letting his Scorpio out. Because, Scorpios, we can be very vengeful. We have tempers, and, we can't. I'm not really like that, but a lot are, and I do feel it sometimes, but not that I act on it, because I don't like to hurt people. But, it was like he wanted revenge, and he would say something with a grin on his face and that look in his eye. And I said, okay, he's got a little conscious awareness here right now, and he's kind of telling the world, because he will look at somebody and do that when he gets that moment of clarity. And it's like, I know what you did to me. You better watch your back, But then he slips back into dementia, so it's like, but when he truly comes out, why the hell did I bring that up? But anyways, because of the intuition. I don't like him, so I could just automatically say, yeah, it started with him because he's an idiot. And yeah, I do feel that way, but it didn't start with him. Okay, it didn't. And I think most things that happened over the past 4 years were not Joe Biden. They were those who were using him as, what was that movie, Weekend at Bernie's? Yeah, or something like that. So you always, they do this stuff all the time. Learn how to use your intuition. It'll help you in situations, personal and, this circus here. Anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it enjoyable.